Dear Abby, it's been a week since I sent my last letter, and I still haven't gotten a response. But that doesn't matter. How have you been? My life's been just as normal as usual. I get up, go to work, go to bed. I live in a really shitty apartment, but I guess that's what you get when you work as a grocery bagger. I've thought about you a lot lately, and sometimes I wonder if you still remember me. I saw you again at work. This time it was at a more reasonable hour, thankfully. I didn't want to bother you to see if you'd I didn't want to bother you to see if you'd approach me on your own. You came to my line again, which made me absolutely thrilled. This time I was less nervous. I was going to act normal no matter what you did or said. I wasn't gonna let a girl like you slip through my fingers. As you walked up, you muttered something that was too quiet to make out, and I waited at the end of the counter for me to finish packing your groceries. This obviously wasn't what I had expected, but it wasn't all too bad. You didn't seem to feel anything at all, actually. I was expecting you to either come up and talk to me or avoid me like the plague, but instead you just walked through as if I was another stranger. It makes me wonder if you got my last letter. You should check your mailbox more often. There was one moment where I felt something though. I looked over briefly to see what you were doing, and at the same time you seemed to look up at me to see how far along I was. Right then, our eyes locked. Only for a second or two, but in those 2 seconds I saw much more in you than I'd seen last time. I felt as if I'd known you for years, like I knew all your intricate feelings and emotions. Did you feel anything like that with me? Shortly after I'd finished packing your bags, you paid and walked out. Obviously, this was a pretty normal process for me, considering I do it about 50 times every day. But I'd been determined since the night I wrote you that letter that the next time I saw you, I was going to get more out of it. I kinda screwed that one up. I wasn't satisfied with it. I had to have more. There's a little room in the very back left corner of the grocery store designated for staff. In there, though, I knew they kept all the security footage from the day. All staff are informed of this and the security cameras' locations when they're hired. Luckily for me, there's one positioned right next to my counter. I waited until the store closed up and everybody left, and then I went in. After flipping through a few of the TV screens, I found the one that was connected to the camera by my counter. I rewinded it until about when I remember you coming in. After a few minutes of scanning, I found it. There you were. I paused on the best still shot I could find. The camera wouldn't do you justice, but it was the best I could have for now. Having a longer look at you, I realized how truly perfect you were. Every feature of your body, your hair, your face, your legs, your chest, it was just perfection. I rewinded the tape to when you'd first come up to my line a few times. I couldn't help myself. My eyes were glued to the screen. After a few minutes of consideration, I popped out the tape and shoved it in my pocket, then drove home. I know I wasn't allowed to. I could very well be fired for taking such actions, but I could not help myself. I had to have you with me at all times, even if it meant me losing my job. Abby, I love you. I love everything about you. I think about you constantly now. Do you feel the same way about me? I want us to be together forever. Right back soon. Yours truly, Jay.